Shall move forward, forward. We are so proud to be Ambazonians. Ambazonian shall move forward, forward. We are so proud to be Ambazonians. We come from Momo, Ndian Fako, Donga Manto, Kope Maningu Babwi. We come from Meza Mayu Boyo.
Mama and Papa them for Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Una welcome for Amber Farmer's Voice. Amber Farmer's Voice na program where they bring una practical and simple way them for grow plenty chop. We don't say and say this world is so hungry go dey plenty yo. So Amber Farmer's Voice dey here for help for say make we put all we head for one place. See how we fit make we own organic fertilizer. How we fit make we own medicine where we fit use them for key insect they ready spoil chop. We want see how we fit work plenty chop for small ground, for small piece of land, so we work plenty chop day. How we fit fix we own solar dryer them for dry we chop like jama them. So we the talk say make all man tune in for SCBC TV, for Umo Jami, for Facebook, YouTube, or you fit download Amber Farmer's Voice app for learn how we fit work plenty chop. If una get any question or problem with una farm, una fit send am for we, so that Amber Farmer's Voice go answer them for una. We be ready for help una, for give una information for how for grow plenty chop, for keep chop for long time, make it no spoil. Thank una plenty.
Shall move forward, forward. We are so proud to be Ambazonians. Ambazonian shall move forward, forward. We are so proud.
Hello, this is an informative video made by a group of engineering students from Liberty University for their senior project. The video will describe the process for manufacturing the fruit and vegetable slicer commissioned by Amber Farmer's Voice. Now to start off, you must first gather some main materials that are shown on your screen here. The electrical components are optional and are not needed for the overall process. Moving on to measuring and making the parts. Of course, in order to begin, you need documentation on the dimensions of the parts. If you obtained this video from Amber Farmer's Voice, then you should have also been supplied with a document with instructions and all of the part drawings. These will be your guide to marking your parts and assembly. In order to make the most of your material, mark out all your parts and cuts, ensuring that you leave enough room for tolerancing depending on the manufacturing methods you are using. Once you have all your parts marked out, you can begin cutting everything out. Use whatever the best tool you have on hand that will be the most precise. For the most parts, this can be a handsaw, a jigsaw, or any other kind of saw you can get your hands on. One plate is different from the rest and has slots cut into it to secure one of its features. To make these, drill 2 holes of the desired size at the end of where the slots are supposed to be. Start with a smaller drill bit to start off, then a drill bit of around the target size that you're going for. This will prevent the wood from splitting. Then, use a saw to cut the slots to meet the holes drilled previously. This should create slots with a rounded edge. Use sandpaper to obtain a perfect finish and prevent any cuts from the rough surface of the wooden board. If there are different grit sizes, use a lower grit for the rougher side and a higher grit for the softer surface. This can correct especially the sides that have been cut in uneven lines or any surface that sticks out. A horizontal bandsaw is used to cut long stainless steel metal sheet into the desired length, which is around 30 centimeters. Then, the one long side of the blade can be sharpened with a sanding belt built for metals. Since the 304 stainless steel is not heat treated, the sheet metal has to be cooled down with cold water in between the sandings of the small parts. Once the angle of the sharpened blade is 22 degrees or lower, that's when you can start drilling 2 holes on one side and 1 hole on the other side. The size of the drill is approximately 7.94 millimeters. A handle will be attached to the part where there are 2 holes close to each other with bolts and nuts. The other part with 1 hole that is drilled with the metal drill is for connecting to the mount of the blade on the top of the wooden slicer. Start pre-drilling at the desired fastener points with a significantly smaller drill bit than the size of the screw. This will make sure that the wood does not undergo too much stress that could cause cracking. Once all of the parts are pre-drilled in the selected locations, make sure the parts are forming right angles with each other and are straight in place before drilling. Begin drilling very slowly and then increase the speed as the screw starts to catch. Repeat this everywhere that was pre-drilled before. Check before drilling to make sure that screws will not intersect when they are fully in. Since the thinly cut plywood is too thin to drill through with the normal screws, wood glue is recommended to attach the interlocking parts. If wood glue is not on hand, use very small nails to fasten thin parts together. Now that the handle can be attached, the 2 handle pieces can be attached on either side of the blade and secured with the 2 6.35mm hex bolts and nut pairs. Sandwich the blade with each handle piece on each side and then feed the bolts through. Then fasten using the required nuts. They might be a tight fit, so make sure that you force gently but firmly in order to make them go through the holes. Attaching the blade is a simple process. Since the holes are already drilled into the metal, there isn't any pre-processing that is needed. To attach the blade, put the 7.94mm hex bolt through one of the mounting blocks that have been attached to one side of the mechanism. Then position the blade between the 2 mounting blocks and line it up so that the hole is even and the holes drilled in the other mounting blocks. Next, feed the bolt through the other side and secure it with the nut. Make it as tight as you can without keeping the blade from moving. Once all of the assembly is complete, apply wood conditioner to all parts that will come into contact with food. This will prevent any fruit juices from soaking into the wood that would cause it to become moldy. After 24 hours of curing time, the slicer is safe for any kind of food that needs to be cut. Now, for this project, there is a completely optional way to automate the slicing mechanism. The electrical components are not very complicated to put together. Simple rule is that the red wires connect with red and black connect to black wires. The small wire connectors, known as splicing connectors, are used to connect the motor to the switch that allows the motor shaft to operate the mechanical system. Each connector should have only the same color going in and out. Then connect the switch to the red wires using the same connectors, with one red wire coming out of the motor and one connecting to the wire with the alligator clip. Meanwhile, the black wire from the motor directly connects to the black wire that connects the clips to the battery. Finally, the alligator clips can be attached to the battery. The red wires with the alligator clips to the red side positive of the 12-volt battery. Then, the black wire clips can be connected to the black side or the negative side of the battery. Next, prepare 2 different pieces of wood with a hole on each side, 2 screws, 2 nuts, and several matching washers. First, connect a long shaft with a short shaft and connect it together with a set of screw and nut, placing the spacer between and fastening it tight. Then, connect the other end of the long shaft with the blade handle right between each handle panel. Use a set of screws and nuts to secure the connection. Lastly, fit the other end of the short shaft on the motor shaft so that when the motor shaft spins, it will turn the crankshaft. The 12-volt battery is capable of charging with solar panels. The first step for charging the battery with the solar panel is to connect the battery to the charge controller. The red charging cable must be connected to the positive battery terminal on the charge controller. The black charging cable must be connected to the negative terminal. The battery terminals of the charge controller are indicated by a battery symbol located directly above them. Once the cables are connected to the charge controller, they can be clamped onto the battery. After the battery is connected, the solar panel can be connected to the charge controller. The 2 wires on the solar panel are located on the bottom. Positive and negative symbols are located on a black piece of plastic to indicate which wires are supposed to be connected to the positive and negative terminals of the charge controller. Once both of the solar panel and the battery are connected, the charge controller will turn on. The last step is to configure the charge controller settings properly. Use the charge controller's instruction manual. The battery type should be set to B1, the setting for sealed lead-acid batteries. The float voltage must be adjusted appropriately to 13 volts. Once these settings are configured, the battery, solar panel, and charge controller can be placed in an area with quality sunlight to charge. The charge controller will indicate when the battery is fully charged. The solar panel must be the first thing to be unhooked from the charge controller before the battery to safely disassemble the system.
Shall move forward. We are so proud to be Ambazonians. Ambazonian shall move forward. We are so proud to be Ambazonians. We come from Momondian Fako, Donga Mantul, Kope Maningu Babwi. We come from Meza Mayugoyo.
Mama and Papa them for Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Una welcome for Amber Farmer's Voice. Amber Farmer's Voice na program where it bring una practical and simple way them for grow plenty chop. We don't say and say this world is so hungry go dey plenty yo. So Amber Farmer's Voice dey here for help for say make we put all we head for one place, see how we fit make we own organic fertilizer, how we fit make we own medicine, where we fit use am for kill insect dey wey dey spoil chop. We want see how we fit work plenty chop for small ground, for small piece of land, so we work plenty chop dey. How we fit fix we own solar dryer dem for dry we chop like jama dem. So we dey talk say make all man tune in for SCBC TV, for Umo Jami, for Facebook, YouTube, or you fit download Amber Farmer's Voice app for learn how we fit work plenty chop. If una get any question or problem with una farm, una fit send am for we so that Amber Farmers Voice go answer am for una. We be ready for help una, for give una information for how for grow plenty chop, for keep chop for long time, make it no spoil. Thank una plenty.
Shall move forward. We are so proud to be Ambazonians. Ambazonian shall move forward. We are so proud.